ladies and gentlemen of the press, thank you for this urgent press briefing or press conference. As you are aware, you are witnesses to the conduct of the Speaker, Professor Michael Quay, on the closing day for this meeting. He walked in without deference to the leadership of the House. He read his riot act as a constitutional dictator. We have sworn to uphold the rule of law, to uphold the Constitution of Ghana, and to work with the standing orders of the Parliament of Ghana. What he has done, let anybody. What he has remains the gravest ever threat to parliamentary democracy in Ghana and an assault on the minority in parliament. He simply doesn't respect due process. He simply doesn't respect the rule of law. He simply doesn't even appreciate and respect the mace as the symbol of authority. You noted that as he walked out, we in the minority sat through, because by way of suspension, he didn't carry the mace along with him. Our disappointment in the mace leaving the chamber is why we quietly sat. That is why we all bow to the mace. It is a symbol of authority. Let any of you show me in the 27th history of our parliamentary democracy where parliament was suspended and the mace was outside the chamber. But I'm not surprised. It appears that this was planned and discussed, probably with the majority leader, because they just cannot accept the reality. Why call us for an emergency when the Minister for Finance all this period have failed to come to Parliament to ask for an expenditure approval on how he intends to spend the $100 million so demanded and so approved? Why has the Minister for Finance failed to come back to Parliament for the additional $119 million capped to be spent with expenditure attached to it? That in all brings it to a maximum of $219 million. So probably they don't want the minority to ask questions. If you came on Monday 30th March and said I will be back, and the president addressed the nation on a Sunday and said the Minister for Finance will come to Parliament, he came thinking that in his naivety he could just come and make a statement and walk away and go and start spending. We are a serious minority, and we respect the tenets of Article 179, 8 and 9 of the 1992 Constitution. Yesterday you saw their fruitless efforts in quoting Article 1771 and leaving out the two. Any student of constitutional law knows basic that you construe as a whole. You don't read Article 1771 in isolation of 1772 because he has no supplementary estimates to present to the Parliament of Ghana. That is what 1772 imposes on the Minister for Finance. For 2019, you can look at the appendix, zero allocation to contingency fund, 2020 zero allocation to contingency fund. Under President John Dramani Mahama, we created what we call buffers. And one of those buffers included the sinking fund, the contingency fund, and the Ghana infrastructure fund. And indeed, this 390 million saved in the stabilization fund is a John Mahama legacy. What interests have accrued to it, we demand to know. If you have 390 million since John Mahama left office, we don't even know what interests have accrued to that amount. So they have more money than even to be looking at the heritage fund. So we are not surprised that they have eaten a humble pie in respect of the heritage fund. I'm sure somebody have reminded them that they will require two-thirds majority even to get that change by the provisions of the Petroleum Revenue Management Act, Act 815. So, ladies and gentlemen of the press, the conduct of the speaker, not just today, you were there when we adopted the business statement. Did the majority leader come by a motion, as he said? We adopted the business statement. He said the House will adjourn CBDA today. Have there been a motion to change what was adopted? So, Professor Mike Okwe, I'm sorry, his birthday, he has become a walking illegality. I'll remind him that he is not the House. It is not for nothing that the standing orders in Order 42 provides that he shall consult the House, not even leaders, the House. Speakers, are they members of Parliament? So they are not part of the House. But you can see, my worst disappointment is this is when he needs to carry us together. And therefore, I find his conduct profoundly disappointing. Very, very disappointing. At this material time, and any of you who they have sought to deceive, you know the cooperation we've given them on the floor. On Saturdays, when it's necessary, we'll come. Mondays, we have dedicated it to work. We close at 10 p.m. We have dedicated it to work. Now the final matter. He says the minority have not been coming for conclave. Where in the standing orders is conclave provided for? But at least confidence so that we respect, there's mutual respect. I wrote a letter to him on COVID-19, given my opinion. He declined knowledge of it, when in fact, and by all records, it was received in his office.
On Friday.
Some 2 persons have suffered quietly because he's had to dismiss them because he's now pretending that he didn't know the letter was received. But in his dispatch, including the honorable majority leader's dispatch, they all received it. Courtesy to minority leaders, he could have called and said, Haruna, I have received your letter or I have not received it. He chose your public affairs directorate to run riot with my hard-built reputation and character. I would only lie to save a marriage. But not this. I write a letter and then correspondence, and you expect that I want to lie about it? Certainly not. So why I protested is that if we respect each other, and I write to you, and you have not even received the letter, must you get public affairs to say that Haruna is dishonest? I have not received it, Haruna is lying? So if you don't respect my integrity to that level, can I confide in you? That explains why I was not. We will consider measuring his conduct and questioning his conduct by the standing orders and the Superior Court of Ghana. Wow. We'll let our lawyers study it carefully, especially you've seen him, and now it's record. The speaker was carrying the mace behind him when the House is in suspension. I'm sure we should have stopped him to tell him that the mace during suspension remains there, relaxed. But he's carried it. I'm sure if you got the way he was in a hurry. So get the principle. We in the minority are not against a recall of Parliament. Parliament to deal with the extraordinary and exigencies of COVID-19, but he must respect the rules if he wants to do that dictatorial thing they did. COVID-19 have already produced dictators in many parts of the world. In fact, a UN official have warned that be careful, because in this moment, dictators may emerge. You recall, we know, we can read them. They brought a defective CI on 16th March. It was defective because they don't consult our colleagues in the Committee on Subsidiary Legislation, drew their attention to it. He withdrew it, relayed it, came back with another defective instrument to amend CI 91. And distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this point is very dear to my heart, and I trust that as media capture it well. The birth certificate, which is a requirement to get a passport, the birth certificate, which is a requirement for a national ID card by their National Identification Authority, is missing, removed, and lost as a basic requirement to register to vote under Article 42 of the 1992 Constitution. These are persons who parade themselves that they believe in the rule of law, they respect the Constitution. Basic. To do a passport, you need birth certificate. To do national ID card, you need birth certificate. The birth certificate has been removed from the CI they are seeking to amend. God save us from Nana Adudangwe's. I'll be happy to answer questions, or God bless you. Straightforward.
Just a few. The second deputy comfort bill inform you of that decision that was taken as consideration.
I trust that I'm